All right, and we are live. Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to 27 Ounce. I, of course, am Ivan, and as always, alongside my brother here, Stefan himself. And listen, if you're a football fan, let it all out, man. Let it all out. Get all the football you could while you can, because once baseball season starts, there's none of that, right? So I hope you guys are on the same type of timing. But before we get into anything that we want to discuss here live with you guys tonight, I want to start off by saying thank you for getting our first two videos of the new year. I think it's like over 800 plus combined, if I'm not mistaken. So shout out to you guys for really doing that.
For
You know,
sure.
I we after we went on that hiatus, when I had gotten sick, for those of you who don't know, that's why we were away for so long. But to really see how you guys were looking forward to just hearing whatever it is that we had to say when it comes to the game of baseball, it really showed in a big way. So thank you. Stefan, how are you feeling? We just had our side convo before we went live here, but other than that, how you doing?
I'm good, brother. We another show, another chance to, get to expand the family and everybody come in and show some love. If you're an Astro fan, tonight is the show for you. If you're a pitching fan, tonight is a show for you. But before we do any of that, I just got to say this for the record. Shows like this and things like this are the reason why baseball needs to highlight more of us. They need to do a better job of showing us love, because without us, shows like ours are the lifeblood. There's nothing happening in the baseball world right now. But yet we're sitting here on a Sunday night when there's good football on and you got other things going on, and we're giving you the best content possible because we love the game. And baseball needs to do a better job of highlighting those channels who are trying to get people to grow the game and grow with the game, especially the younger demographic who baseball seems to be losing. End of rant. Just wanted to get that out. But Ivan, tee us up for this first topic and let's roll, bro.
I like that. I like that a lot. So yeah, let's get into this. Earlier today, the Astros and the Cubs, they ended up, I guess, ending off a week that we didn't really hear much out of, I would say. And then suddenly, earlier today, we find out that the Astros have traded reliever Ryan Presley to the Chicago Cubs. Stefan, I know you put something on our Instagram there regarding, I think, the Astros being able to shed off, was it $14 million with this trade?
So they shed off mathematically. They got close to $14 million off, but it's really $9 million because they sent Alex Presley and $5.5 million to the Cubs in order for the Astros to free up about $9 million. And with this $9 million, they're hoping that leads them to a resolution with Alex Bregman, who I believe now is a foregone conclusion will be back in Houston. I didn't think that a couple days ago. I didn't think that a couple weeks ago. But when you start to see how they've begun to maneuver, and listen, Alex Presley, there's a couple things that we need to point out with this. One, he and his wife are from Houston. They're from the Houston area. They live in Houston all year round. Houston is their home. This is where they make their family, right? So you can understand why this was an extremely difficult decision for him to waive this no trade clause, for him to say to himself, yo, this is really difficult for myself, my family, everybody involved with this process. This was something that they took time.
Let
Rightfully.
me ask you this. So with that no trade clause, were there any other deals that the Astros made with him in it where he perhaps may have rejected? Or
so they thought,
because to my knowledge, I didn't really hear of anything,
no.
but perhaps maybe
So
there was something.
they thought they thought he was going to Detroit.
Okay,
And
Detroit.
he had told them, nah, I ain't doing that. Like they were on the 1 yard line with the Tigers. They thought they had a deal done. They thought he was going to Detroit. And the thing about Alex Presley is he's what they call a 10-5 player, where he's been in the big leagues for 10 years, but he's been with the Astros for 6 years. So when you automatically become a 10-5 player, you automatically get a no trade clause. So he can veto whatever trades he wanted based on the fact that he has the service time, both in terms of his own and with the team, to tell the Astros, no, 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 no. You're gonna trade me when I'm ready, where I want to go, and I'll tell you when I'm good and ready. And the decision came out tonight that he was ready to move on. And because listen, that has to be extremely difficult, right? Take the baseball side out of it. Let's talk about the human side. That's an extremely difficult thing, especially when you know that one, it's not always easy to look at the human side. Like his wife and his family are Houston natives. They are from the city of Houston. He was playing for basically his hometown team. So
Yeah. And by
you
the look of things, he could have easily been like, I ain't going nowhere because if I don't say otherwise, you guys can't do a damn thing.
right, and here, but here's the thing that needs to be pointed out that's really important with this. He wanted to close, right? He wasn't comfortable coming out of the bullpen in the seventh, eighth inning. He wanted to be in a position where he wanted to close baseball games. And you weren't doing that with Josh Hader in the bullpen. You weren't doing that with um the other kid, who's the middle?
Abreu is another one of the
Abreu.
guys.
You
Yeah.
weren't, because that's the eighth and ninth inning right there. Abreu and Hader are your eighth and ninth inning. So you're not closing games, especially when you have both of those guys with solidified roles who know, hey, when the game is on the line, this is who they're going to, right? So not only did you not have the eighth inning, you didn't even have the ninth inning, but you didn't even have the eighth inning, and some would argue you may not even have the seventh,
Right.
because they would use Abreu in multiple innings. He would pitch in multiple roles. So they had some questions about whether or not this was something that he wanted to do long term, especially if he knows, yo, I'm not even going to close. Forget about I'm not even pitching in high leverage. Forget about closing games. So I think the question then became to him, it's like, yo, what do you really want? You're getting paid $14 million this year. You're 37 years old. Your statistics last year, you didn't have a great year. It was a good year, but it wasn't a great year. So the question then becomes, what did we really want to do? Like, how comfortable was he with the idea that, yo, I may have to leave Houston to reclaim some value, because he's going to hit the free agent market again at the end of the year, and two, the clubs need a closer. The Cubs were basically in on everyone, from Tanner Scott to everybody that went. The Cubs had conversations with.
Yeah, I'm glad you
Kirby.
brought that up because one thing that I was going to mention, but no longer will, is, I wonder what it was that actually was intriguing to Ryan Presley when it came to finally agreeing to move to the Chicago Cubs. But now when you break it all down, like when it comes to his family, obviously that was I would say the toughest part probably in
For
terms of him
sure.
saying yes.
Mhm.
But it made all the sense when it came to baseball, right? Considering what he wants for himself and where the Astros are now moving.
Yeah, right.
Because, yeah, we do believe that Alex Bregman will return now with the trade like this going down. But the
Mhm.
Astros have already made other deals, right? Like Kyle Tucker's no longer there. So now Ryan Presley still gets to play alongside a guy like Kyle Tucker on the Cubs.
And
So it's I see how it makes sense for him.
the reason why this is gonna all tie into Alex Bregman, because that's who we're talking about in this video, is the Cubs are one of the teams that have interest in Alex Bregman now. I wonder if them taking on Presley's contract puts them in a position where you can't do the Alex Bregman deal. Knowing how, expensive relief pitching is and pitching in general is, and knowing everybody's working under financial constraints, unless you're the Los Angeles Dodgers, who don't believe in any financial constraints at all.
Right.
um Everybody's working with some sort of budget, whether or not we want to stick to the budget or we want to espouse about how serious the budget may be. Everyone is dealing with some sort of financial ramifications to whatever deals they make. Now the question then becomes, yo, does this trade for Presley take the Cubs out of the Alex Bregman conversation? Does it make the Red Sox reevaluate the idea that if we sign Bregman now, we don't have enough money to go get Vladimir Guerrero Jr. next year?
It's kind of crazy how quickly things change, right? Like you just mentioned the Red Sox and Alex Bregman, them being in talks for the last few weeks. But I remember here on the show, and shout out to those of you who are watching right now. We appreciate it. But we've had a couple of viewers already say like, yo, I have a feeling Bregman's going to the Red Sox. And Now, the Astros trade Presley, and it looks like Alex Bregman will indeed be returning there. But here's my question, though, right? In addition to everything that you have already said, Stefan. So the Astros, for those who don't remember, here's a friendly reminder. Earlier this offseason, the Astros offered Alex Bregman a 6-year deal worth $156 million. And I know you mentioned the $9 million rather than 14. I wonder if now the Astros are probably going to add on top of what is
Right.
already on the table when it comes to bringing him back. That's
So
interesting.
here's the other thing that I want to point out too, and this is where the financial thing becomes interesting. Now, the Houston Astros owner Jim Crane has said repeatedly, "Yo, we don't feel the need to go above the luxury tax. We don't really want to do that." Now, what this does is because before this deal, they were $3 million over the $241 million luxury tax. Why is that important? Now you're about, I want to say $6 million off, or 6.5 million, depending on how they do their calculations. So if I can get Alex Bregman to fit a certain type of model where I'll extend him, I'll get him close to what he wants, and I'll pay the luxury tax. Because the one thing we know about Jim Crane will pay the luxury tax if it's worth it, if it's a worth investment for the future of his team. Like he did it for he did it when they re-signed Altuve. He paid it a couple times to just be able to say, yo, we put a consenting team on the field. So he's done this before. He doesn't want to do it often because when you become a repeat offender, how Houston builds their team is they have a lot of prospects. They tend to build from within. So when you start to get past a certain number in terms of luxury tax, they start to take your draft picks. They start to do things where you don't have as much international signing bonus money to be able to move with. And that's where things become difficult. So I could see where Jim Crane is like, I don't really want to do this, number one, because I don't want to pay it for my own personal sake, because, you know, I'm rich, but I'm not rich by giving money away. But I also see organizationally where Dana Brown, the GM, is like, I don't know if I want to do this for a 31-year-old. Like, I could see where there's a little bit of a push and pull. Now, what makes it all the more complicated is, you know, the fans want him back. And when Altuve is at your fan fest yesterday going, Jose Altuve, when he's at his fan fest going, yo, I'll move anywhere they want me to if it means Alex is coming back. When your de facto captain comes out and says, yo, if you're gonna make it happen for anybody, make it happen for him.
Right. Yeah.
I don't care what you gotta pay, make it happen for him.
It's safe to say that Jose Altuve does not see a future without Alex Bregman, and I don't blame him. They've won together a couple times, you know.
And even if you don't win, this is the equivalent of, yo, good looking for your years of service. We appreciate you. Whether or not it works out or not, that's a conversation that you have another time. Because here's the reality. The reality of it is, you and I both know that when you got a teammate that's been through the wars with you, you're not trying to give that up. You're not trying to go a different way. And what I think is a problem, or sometimes or could be a solution, depending on your view of this thing, is, yo, sometimes team chemistry takes a backseat to whatever financial concerns you may or may not have as an owner. And this is where I wonder if Altuve got in Jim Crane's ear. Yo, if this does happen, and if he does want to seriously come back, I will move positions in order to accommodate him. Please, let's do this. I don't care what we got to do. Please, let's do this, right?
Jose Altuve is a real one for that, you know. He really is.
We can sit here and talk about the cheating and trash cans and all that. That's the epitome of leadership, because we could point to Gleyber Torres here in New York not wanting to move positions with the Yankees when they acquired Jazz Chisholm. Knowing Jazz Chisholm was a better second baseman, but it would have hurt Gleyber's value. Motherfucker, you had no value.
Exactly.
Your value was 1 year, $15 million. What value did you really have? Take your value and shove that shit square up your rectum. Fuck are you talking?
Yo, that is funny, bro.
You crazy? Value where? What value? And so when people say, yo, you know, these players, we hurt their value, Altuve is showing you, yo, this is a leadership thing. Like, I'm willing to go to Jim Crane and willing to man up and say, yo, Jim, Get my boy back in here, dog. Because what this comes down to is Alex Jose Altuve knows, yo, my career is winding down, and so is his. So let's just ride off. Maybe we get one. Maybe we win another a couple division titles, and
Right.
we
It
make sure this
almost
is
sounds
thing.
like if possible, Jose Altuve would probably even want to go to the extent of maybe even rearranging his deal just to bring the guy back. Like that's
Well,
how serious he is about wanting to see Alex Bregman remain with the Houston Astros.
I think if he could, he would. But here's the problem:
Yeah.
the players' union would never allow Altuve to do that.
Oh no, of course. No, no.
Like, but I understand your point of like if that was a realistic option for him, where he said, "Yo, I want to rearrange my contract." That's something that they would at least consider. They would think about. They would have ideas about. But the thing that I sit here and have concerns with is how is it going to look with him in left field? Because now left field in Minute Maid is not the most gigantic left field. It's fairly
No, not a
sparse.
lot of ground to cover either. It's
Right.
like
So
right
it's not a lot
there.
of ground. So it's not that bad. But the idea that he's changing positions after all these years, that's tough. But
Mhm.
it shows that he's not, it shows he's at least willing to give it a shot to accommodate his boy coming back.
You know, now that you say that, how old is Altuve? For him to be saying that, he's gonna be 35 years old. Wow, man.
That's again,
Like usually dudes at that point, they're like, listen,
yeah.
I've
I'm
been
not
here
trying
for
to.
X amount of years, leave
Right.
me alone.
Yeah.
Especially being a franchise player, because that's what
What he
Altuve
is.
is to the
And
franchise. Yeah.
so, but this is the thing I'm asking myself, right? Like, I wonder if the idea is, yo, they're gonna end up trading Isaac Paredes anyway. I'm gonna end up moving back to second. Let's just give it a couple months to work itself out. Because the first thing I thought when I heard this is Bregman's coming back. All right, Isaac Paredes is out the door. Like that's the first thing I thought. But then when they're like Altuve is willing to move to left, I'm like, well, damn, maybe he isn't out the door. Maybe it's a real situation in which there are some really strong feelings to where, listen, we like this lineup. Because let me tell you something right now. Now you putting Alex Bregman in the middle of the lineup with Christian Walker, Alvarez. You got Bregman coming back. You got Altuve still doing his thing. You got Pena in the middle of the lineup. Now your lineup looks a little bit more formidable. Where if
Right.
you're an Astro fan, you're sitting there going, hold up now. Wait a minute. I'm not saying we win the World Series, but we can at least be in the
I
conversation.
genuinely believe that this is the Astros, and this is indeed their way of saying, like, yo, you know, we're gonna give this one more go around with Altuve, Bregman, Alvarez, and the rest of the guys, and let's see how far we could go, whether it be this
This
year or next year. But beyond that, I mean, who knows?
this feels like some last dance shit.
Yes,
Like
yes.
this is what it feels like. Now,
Yeah,
if
because
I'm
one thing, and I don't want to go too far back, Stefan, but you were somebody before they did all of the deals that they've made leading up to this point now.
Mhm.
But one thing that you've always said was that you thought they were done in
Yeah.
terms of being that team that, you know, would still go on deep playoff runs or perhaps
Mhm.
even make it to the World Series, which they've done a few times.
Mhm.
So what do you think now? Like, are you still thinking that they're done, or you think they may be able to make some things interesting?
Well, here's the thing. I like them as a perennial playoff team. Like I like them to be able to make the playoffs and perhaps make things interesting, but are they a World Series contender now?
No, right.
Because I look at them and I'm like, well, what are you doing with the pitching? All right, what does that look like? Also, your bullpen's solid, but is Josh Hader the Josh Hader of a couple years ago? He didn't look too great. I mean, he didn't look horrible, but he wasn't Josh Hader that we known in his Milwaukee days and even his
Yeah,
final.
because you brought him in to be that guy.
Right. So it's like Houston has a couple things they need to work out. But listen, all that aside, personal feelings aside, do I think they win a World Series again with this current group? No.
No.
But the one thing I will applaud when everybody's sitting there with their hands in their pockets and they're not trying to make things work, these guys are at least in the conversation to say to us, yo, we're at least trying. We're at least trying to put ourselves in position where if the right situation or the right deal or the right player comes along, we're going to be right there in the mix, right? Like, and it's different when it's your own guy. When it's your guy and he's helped you win championships, there's a little bit of a different tug that comes with that. Like, yeah, bro, You've been around the game. You know us. You've been around the team. The team knows you. And when you got your boys saying, yo, I switch positions, shit, I even make sure that, there's fresh socks in your fresh socks and cleats in your locker every day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's willing to do whatever he can to accommodate Alex Bregman. That is a beautiful thing, especially because everything about sports today is ego and shit like that. Yo, ego, 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 me. So to see somebody be about the team is some really refreshing shit. And I think
Yeah.
that needs to be applauded, especially in the modern game where it's so much more about the selfishness and the one-sided ego that we see a lot in sports. That's some really dope shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, let me say this quickly. Follow us on Instagram at 27outs3C. And for those of you who are watching right now via YouTube, what's up? What's up? If you're new here, welcome. This is 27 Outs. I'm Ivan. That's Stefan. And as always, we just love us some baseball, right? Want to get into these comments?
Yeah, real quick, but I got a question for you, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, for instance, right, and I'm not trying to stir the pot, I'm just asking a question. I wonder if Bregman takes a shorter term deal. I know the 6/156 they said is an outstanding offer, and we'll give it to him, and it's available, and the door's open. But I wonder if he says, "Yo, I appreciate y'all getting some money off your books to bring me back. Jose's willing to move positions." I wonder if he says, "Yo, give me a 3-year deal for like $90 million. That's $30 million a year. I'll take the shorter deal. I'll probably do at least one opt out to give
Right.
y'all some relief if it don't work." And what happens is he becomes like a sympathetic figure because it's like, damn, yo, he couldn't get what he wanted. Scott overplayed his market. Let me say something. Scott Boras, outside of Juan Soto, is having, and probably Corbin Burns, Scott Boras is having a tough winter. Again,
Yeah.
these are
Back to
these
back.
these are back-to-back winters where you're seeing the flaws in the Scott Boras logic, which is, yo, these teams have the analytics just like you do. You are no longer special. You no longer have this magic elixir where people say, "Oh, Scott Boras, super agent, blah blah blah." Like you can literally have a conversation, and this is a question: can you at least have the thought he might have fucked both Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso in terms of, yo, you promised the sun, the moon, and the stars, and all we getting is a fucking basement apartment with no view.
Yes, yes. I think he is indeed at fault for where these guys stand, you know.
That's
I
crazy.
wouldn't say entirely because these guys have had conversations themselves with their respective teams, but especially right now more than ever. And then as you mentioned, Stefan, what he did last offseason,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if Scott Boras. Now I get it. We credit to him and being able to land a deal that he got for Juan Soto from the Mets. But as you mentioned, outside of that, not much to really talk about. If you were to ask me,
I also think the one thing that's important too is Scott Boras doesn't have the same relationship with these owners that he once did. Like I feel like these owners are quick to turn him away now. Instead of letting you get a face to face with me where you could brainwash me and spin cycle my ass into giving your client whatever he may want. Now it's like, nah, you got to deal with the GM. Like I don't even want to be involved with whatever process you may have because I'm the one that ends up losing money in the end. Where my baseball people get paid to do this, right? So I wonder if Scott's going to the Red Sox, Scott's going to all these different teams when it comes to Alex, and he's like, well, talk to the GM. Don't talk to me. Don't call the owner. Like talk to the person in charge. And I think what the reality or the come to Jesus that I would say is happening here is Scott is realizing, yo, these owners don't want nothing to do with my ass. They don't want nothing to do with me. They don't want nothing to do with me trying to or him trying to circumvent the system or do some sort of bullshit where Scott Boras looks like the patron saint of fucking free agents. That's done.
yeah.
That's done. So that's
The
the
other
other.
thing that looks bad too, I would say, is the fact that we actually now know that he has a relationship with some of the reporters, right? Like some of the guys who
Mhm.
cover the game, it has come out that he has a relationship with, right? So who knows if he's not using these guys as a pawn to try to get these teams,
Yeah.
going in terms of like, maybe increasing their offers, maybe adding more money, maybe adding more years.
This is the thing that I found funny though, is like I wonder if This is why I'm very convinced that Alex Bregman is going back to Houston, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it because there is no talk of any other. Like, usually, if Scott Boras was trying to get a message out, the first thing he would do is call John Heyman and be like, yo, get this out for me real quick.
You know what's surprising to me too? Maybe I'm wrong, but I actually haven't heard of any of the deals. Now I know, there were rumors with the Red Sox, the Tigers. We talked about them.
Right.
But I never really heard of any other deals that were at least made public.
Well, none of his offers were made public that we know of. None of the deals that he supposedly,
Right. Other than the one that the Astros offered him earlier this offseason.
which came from the Associated Press, which had it at 6 years, 156.
But I'd
Right.
like to know what other teams are saying to him, though. That would be interesting.
Well, the other team, if we, all right, so let's just use this deal as the outlier then. Let's just use the 6-156 as the outlier, right? What other teams are saying is like, shit. If you get it down to 5 at 130, we might be able to talk about a little something. If you get it down to like 4 at 100, I'll talk to you. You talking about 6 at 150? Nah. Because if that wasn't the problem, he would have had an offer that either touches close to that or at least exceeds it by a couple $1,000,000. When you start hearing things like, yo, he's considering taking a long-term deal, he's considering changing his attitude or his mindset, what that shows you is Scott Boras no longer has the power, or the market no longer is favorable to the idea that Alex Bregman deserves this contract, at least not at 30 years old. This is the other thing. What this also shows me is baseball talks out of both sides of its proverbial ass, right? Like, it's like one minute we're all analytical, one minute we want to see the future, one minute we want to play somebody for what they're worth, one minute and then you get a Juan Soto and you're like, well, why? That doesn't even compute. Like, he's not even worth half the money he's being paid, but since he's 25 and can hit a ball to the moon, we're gonna pay you 700.
You know what's crazy now?
$1,000,000.
Just a year ago, we were shouting about like, yo, there's no way one player could get $700 million. Of course, speaking of Shohei Ohtani, and now we look at what a guy like Juan Soto got, and what Shohei Ohtani got from the Dodgers is damn near a bargain. Maybe
it's like,
it's crazy.
So, but this is the thing, right? You talking about two dudes that are two different sort of dudes. What's happening now is Bregman and Alonso are a representation of the middle class free agent who is really suffering to find his footing and his market in this current climate, which is, yo, dog, you're both about to, one is over 30 already, and the other one's about to be over 30. Y'all both had declining years in terms of your offensive productivity. Now, Alex is still a winner. He's a team player, and what he brings is super valuable. That I'm not going to argue. What I will argue is, how does that contract translate to year 2, year 3, year 4 of the contract instead of just the first year, which is 2025? But what does 2027, 2028, and possibly 2029 look like, depending if you even got that far, right? Like, those are the things that if we're sitting here having a conversation, I don't know how to compute that, especially when we're in a market where it doesn't seem to be favorable to the guys that are of a certain age. Kind of tough. Tough.
It's crazy too how, because I was always against this, right? Like, I remember the days when a player was 30 years old and that was like prime time for them to receive a 10-year deal, right? Like, you'll be able to play for the next 10 years up until the age of 40 years old.
Right.
And now, in the case of, as you mentioned, Pete Alonso and Alex Bregman, we're talking about guys who are literally 30 or just over 30, and they can't even land multi-year deals, man. It's kind of crazy.
And that's the thing, right? Like, these are the things we have conversations with. If you're talking about where the game is in this very.
But I like this because that means teams are thinking now, rather than just giving out money and giving out like all these amount of years blindly.
The reason
things
why
are actually thinking twice, and they're on some like, well, this might look good for the first 3 years, but the last 2 to 3 are going to look like what?
So let me ask you a question. You say teams are thinking now, right? But let me ask you this question. If teams are really thinking, how do you end up with a Juan Soto contract? How do you end up with the idea that you're giving Vladimir Guerrero Jr. close to $500 million as a first baseman when first baseman since Miguel Cabrera have not fared well? They have not fared well in the market. Look at the last big free agent contract that we got for first baseman was Prince Fielder when he got 9 years at 214 million, which
From
is
the Tigers, yes, I remember that.
which is what reportedly Scott Boras was aiming for as a target for Pete Alonso. Like if
Oh hell no! And I remember Prince Fielder. Sorry, but nah, you Pete Alonso, you ain't no. First of all, Prince Fielder would do what Pete Alonso did in his rookie season in his sleep.
I'm telling you, but like,
So
so they're just using that particular deal as the measuring stick to say, listen, well, this is what we think he's comparable to, right? Like Mark Teixeira got what he got 8 years, 180 from the Yankees a couple years ago. Like when he got that in '09, we were like, damn, he got paid, you know what I'm saying? But like the market for free agent first baseman has taken a dip. Look at Christian Walker's deal with with the Astros. 3 years, $60 million. Like he didn't really crack the code in terms of getting the type of financial dollars that you were getting a couple years ago if you're a first baseman. Now, what's worse for Pete Alonso is he doesn't have the glove that a Walker has. He's not an overall hitter the way Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is. So
oh right.
that's where the conversation becomes, what are you? How can we quantify what you are? Right. And the other thing is, like, I wonder if you're starting to look at Bregman too, like Bregman, Arenado. Look at all these guys that are aging third baseman. How can we quantify what you are in a market in which, right, it doesn't seem to behoove the veteran player who's trying to find a new home, trying to breathe air into his career. It doesn't seem like that is. Look how long, and I know they play different positions, but look at how long it took Anthony Santander to find a home. Like that
Right.
wasn't quick. That was painfully like long and arduous, and it took forever. And it took the Toronto Blue Jays
See, now
willingly.
he on the other hand, I would say ultimately probably got what he was looking for, considering the age, the years,
Right.
and I mean it's the Blue Jays, right? They missed out on everyone, so it doesn't surprise me that they ended up being the team to pony up what he was looking for.
So what I will say is, and this is the other thing that I'm having conversations about with myself is like Pete Alonso is the guy, right? And Alex Bregman is a guy. Like Alex Bregman more so than Pete Alonso. Alex Bregman's a winner. Like he's won 2 World Series. The
Yes.
market should be fair to him and kind to him. And the kind of thing where you look at it and go, well, this makes sense for us, right? Like this makes sense for us. And I think what Alex is coming to realize is, I might have to just take what they can give me because Jim Crane's already telling me, man, we're not doing that. We love you. We love you enough that Jose's willing to switch positions and do all this and the whole dog and pony show and shit like that. But to say that this is a real conversation in which we're going to give you what you think you may be worth, that's not the reality in which we're living in. So ultimately, I think Alex ends up taking a 3-year deal. I don't think he gets no more than that. I think Pete Alonso was in the same boat. And I'm going to tell you something. I think Pete Alonso ends up with the Blue Jays. Alex ends up back with the Astros, and then we're going to have serious conversations about whether Scott Boras should be doing this job anymore. No, seriously. Like
All right.
we need to start having conversation. Like, should you be
Would
like
it surprise you? How about this? So before we get to that, but would it surprise you if players no longer are going to him in terms of being that guy who gets the deal that they're looking for moving forward? I could see that being a
that could
possibility.
be a possibility. The thing is, there are
Less
no
clients.
that's true. The thing is, there's no other agent that is. We're gonna get to the comments in a minute, I promise. This shit is blowing up over here. There's no other agent that has the cachet of a Scott Boras, right? Like in the NBA, you hear names like Bill Duffy and there's a couple other names where these dudes, like these agents, like LeBron's agent, Rich Paul and all
Right.
these dudes that are like them dudes, like Jonathan Fagan before he was killed. He was a big agent in the NBA. Like Drew Rosenhaus in the NFL. Like there's marquee free agents and marquee agents, and there's usually more than one. Where in baseball, there is no other marquee agent other than Scott Boras. The question I'm asking is, we see what Joe Wolf has done with the Japanese market, right? Joe Wolf represents Yamamoto. He represents Sasaki. He represents Giancarlo Stanton. Like Joe Wolf's been an agent to some of the biggest names in the game.
And
I
look at
want
what he's been able to get for these guys, right? Like he
right.
he don't even have the years that a guy like Scott Boras has. And
So I wonder if a guy like Joe Wolf turns around and says, "Yo, Scott, you losing your fastball. Whatever, whoever don't like what's happening with Scott Boras, come over here and we'll get you paid."
wow, that would be interesting, man.
Like I was
See,
thinking
now
about
what
this.
what worries me about that is then, and I'm being funny by saying this, but then that
Mhm.
means that the Dodgers just end up with everybody at the end of the day, right?
Oh, at least close to it. Joe Wolf also represents Nolan Arenado. So I wonder how Joe
Okay.
Wolf is looking at this whole Alex Bregman situation going, "Yo, what's up with y'all? Get a move on. I gotta get him traded."
Right.
You
So
know,
do you still, now that you mentioned Nolan Arenado, do you still think like there's something out there maybe before the season, or at this point is this something that happens maybe later in the year, maybe perhaps at the deadline?
so they won't say this, right? But I'm gonna put this out there anyway because I don't trust Brian Cashman as far as I can throw him when it comes to shit like this. Oh, they're not interested. We're not interested. We're not interested. We're not interested. We're not interested. And then you turn around and Nolan Arenado's wearing pinstripes, and then we all looking like a fucking idiot.
Hmm.
So the idea that there's no significant interest, I buy that for now. I buy that for now. But you're not going into the season with Oswaldo Cabrera as your third baseman. Sorry, don't buy it one damn bit. That's like when they told me, what was his name? Bubba Thompson was going to be the center fielder. Oh, Bubba Crosby. Remember Bubba Crosby when we all,
Bubba Crosby, damn, you wrote it back, bro.
you know what I'm saying? When they were telling us, yo, Bubba Crosby's going to be the center fielder of the 2005 Yankees. A week later,
Yo, that's
a
such a random name, bro. He said Bubba Crosby.
A week later, fucking Johnny Damon was traded to the Yankees, was signed by the Yankees, and we're like,
Right, yeah.
well, the Yankees don't have interest in Damon. They don't have interest in Damon. They don't have interest in Damon. The next thing you know, you turn around, Johnny Damon's wearing a Yankee uniform. So what are we really doing here?
Hmm.
Right?
Right.
Do I ultimately think they want to trade Stroman first and clear up the idea that that could be the thing that stops them? Maybe. Or, you tap on Hal's office door and go, yeah, my boy, what you want to? We putting DJ LeMahieu at third. We putting Oswaldo Cabrera at third. We putting Jazz Chisholm at third. Like, what are we doing?
Right.
Help me, help you. Give me a first. And also, I'm not ruling this out either. The Twins are having financial issues. I don't care what you tell me. Carlos Correa is still an option until he's not. I don't care. He's an option until he's not. Everybody says, "Oh, I don't think the Yankees do it." Do they do it? Probably not. But the idea that they don't is asinine to me. That's ridiculous. That you're not walking in there with fucking Oswaldo Cabrera and DJ LeMahieu as your platoon third baseman. You're not.
Right.
You're not doing that. On what planet is this feasible?
Mhm.
Help me, Ivan. You think I'm bugging?
No, I agree. I agree.
Let's get to these comments,
All
man.
right, so to the people who are here, shout out to you guys. Another friendly reminder: make sure you guys go ahead and follow us on Instagram at 27outs3c. And for those of you who are watching live right now via YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not already done so.
Okay, so we got bunch of. This is interesting. This is an interesting comment. Hope the Dodgers bring Kike back. They are over 40 million with the Kirby Yates signing. Yeah, Kike Hernandez is a name that the Yankees looked into last year. Kike was good for the Dodgers, man. So I think they should bring him back if it's something that they feel, makes sense for them.
Yeah, good postseason hitter too, man. Like
Oh
he
my
just
God.
knows when to show up when he's called upon.
So we got the Altuve, little cheater. Don't re-pull my shirt. That's funny.
That's when people
That's
were talking
funny.
about them using buzzers and whatnot.
That's funny. This is funny. Mike with the comment of Dodgers slept on Jordan Alvarez. Yo,
That's true. He was one of your guys. That's
can you
right.
imagine if Jordan Alvarez is sitting in the middle of that lineup right now, bro?
Bro, what? Betts, Freeman, Otani, Yordan Alvarez? Nah, come on, man. Stop that. Stop that. Listen, we laughing, and it wouldn't surprise me if something close to that becomes realistic over the next year or two, you
Yo,
know?
but just to know that he was in the mid, he was in the system, and you just let him walk for nothing. That's
Mhm.
nuts, so right there.
It's wild.
Shrek with the troll comment.
Shrek, it's always nice to have you
With the
here, bro.
troll comment. Oh, we love it. We love it. Know what I mean? Blast from the past, a little Jeff Bagwell action in the chat. Okay. Okay. Altuve in the outfield will be entertaining. I don't know if that's more entertaining for us or for him. Um I'd rather have see, that's another thing. Like, yo,
Yeah, honestly, that's now that you say that, Stefan. So in the case of the Twins, right? I know you mentioned Carlos Correa and him being on the move at some point with everything that's going on there.
right.
But Ryan Lewis is a guy who, if you're going through all of these changes, why even bother holding on to a guy like him? That would be insane if he ended up in LA.
That's but that's a guy that the Yankees should consider because he's also a third baseman. I know the injury history is kind of crazy, but if he ends up in LA, oh my god, oh my god. Um, this is funny because I'm actually wearing his hoodie tonight. So this is funny. That's
That's your
funny.
brother?
Yeah, that's funny. That's
Yeah.
funny.
What's up? Thank you for
That's
watching.
funny. That's fun. That's hysterical. Let's see. Apparently, Zahidi mistook Alvarez with a different Alvarez when he made it.
No. Yo, I have to look into that story, Norm. That's a funny one. I've never
So,
heard that, by the way.
so if this is indeed real, you ever heard the saying, congratulations, you just played yourself on the radio when they have
Yeah.
that drop? Like, it's like the Big Daddy Kane line, put the quarter in your ass because you played yourself. Like, you played yourself, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, that is crazy. First of all, how do you even make that? How do you even allow something like that to happen at the
first of
professional
all, you
level?
got to be sick in
Like,
the
aren't you like triple checking things at that point before it even becomes official?
just having a moment of silence, kids, because I'm gonna drop a jewel on you guys right now. There's no wonder why Forhan Zaidi does not have a job in baseball right now. Because of shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like shit like that. Like you wonder why Forhan Zaidi, who does not have a job, who's with the Giants and was with the Dodgers for a number of years, like, yo, you don't have a job because you mistook the wrong Alvarez. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing? And the idea that you're still employed by an organization, you might have traded. Yo, can you imagine what that looks like? I'm sitting here looking at, I'm drooling. I'm not even a Dodger. That's insanity, bro. We going Mookie to friggin' Otani to Freddie to goddamn. Now you're gonna throw Yoda Alvarez in the middle of the line. That is ridiculous. Yo, what?
Right.
And you know
we don't know who this person is, but
that's
shout
my
out to this person.
that is my brother Vincent's girl. So they
Oh,
both
really? I'm sorry for that, Daniela. I'm sorry.
they both watching the show
So
at
the
the same
reason why
time.
I said that is because I had never seen your name pop up. But as Stefan mentioned, you
Yeah,
have
so that's
been around
family.
here before, so
That's
thank you for
family.
that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
they were actually in here during the watch along of the World Series a couple months ago. So it's and I didn't even know that they were gonna pop in here.
That was a fun night, man, and I'm
Yeah.
actually looking forward to doing that again later this year.
Norm asked an interesting question here, which we could get into if you guys want. Who's the cover photo? Who's the 25 show athlete cover photo? That's interesting. That's
Oh, that
interesting.
so I get your question, Shrek. MLB the show. The new game should be coming out within like the next month and a half, 2 months. And I know last year it was Vladdy Jr. who made the cover. So to answer your question, Shrek, Stefan, you could also get in on this as well. But if I had to take a guess, I'm gonna give you three guys.
I got
I'm
one
gonna
guy.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be either Bobby Witt Jr. If not Bobby Witt Jr., I don't know. For some reason, I could see Ellie De La Cruz as well. And last but not least, who knows if it just might be Juan Soto as well.
That was
I
my
think it's
guess.
those three
That
guys.
was
Yeah.
my guess. My guess is Juan Soto's with the Mets. He just signed a huge deal. Face of the franchise. Let's put him on the cover. New York, bet new star with the Mets. Put him on the cover. Just get
But
everything.
here's the thing, though. So they also do these random things as well, right? And this is not a knock on Jazz Chisholm, but I'm gonna be honest. When Jazz Chisholm was announced as the cover athlete for, I forgot which year it was.
A couple
Let me
years
know.
ago, I think it was
Let
like
me know in the
21,
chat, by the way, guys, if you remember the exact year.
23, because I
Yeah,
have the game. I think it was
I'm
2023.
sorry, but in no way should Jazz Chisholm ever be a cover athlete. I'm sorry. I just think you got to be of a, yo, I'm not disrespecting the guy. Like, yo, he's cool. I like the swag. I like the energy that he brings, especially now that he's here in the Bronx. But I think you, yo, you bad for that, bro. You are bad for that. But like I said, I was just saying, I think you have to be of a certain, like, you get what I'm saying? You guys know what I mean.
He out here firing shots. Damn,
So
dog.
Shrek says I could see Freeman on the cover
I can
with
see
him
that.
holding the. Okay,
I can
wow,
see that.
that's a good one.
I can see that. I can see
You
that.
know what would be a crazy cover? Now I don't think they do this, but could you imagine a cover where it's Otani, Yamamoto, and Sasaki, the three of them?
Shit.
Oh boy, that would be like I don't even know what to
It's
say.
like the
Honestly.
Holy Trinity and shit.
Yeah, man, that's like for the people who know about Yu-Gi-Oh, that's like having all the Exodia pieces being able to form it, you know.
Yo, you know what's crazy is that there's this Japanese game, right? Oh, this is interesting. Norm with the this is interesting.
Paul Skeens, that's a good one.
This
I
is
like that.
interesting. By the way, did you hear the
I like
story
that.
about Paul Skeens?
What happened?
There was a one-of-one card. Like it was a one of like this card's never gonna be made again. This card is nuts. You know, the Pirates tried to get this card from a fan. They offered him season tickets for 30 years, meet Paul Skeens, all this. They were like, nah, we're gonna keep the card.
One of
Like
my boys told me about that actually, yeah.
who? They putting Livy Dunn on the cut? That's funny. Paul Skeens' girl. That's funny. That's funny. That's funny. That's hysterical. Bobby Witt makes sense. Bobby Witt, I'd like to see. Ellie makes sense, as Andy points out here. What's up, Andy? What's going on? Happy Sunday to you. My other thing is, yo, keep it a full stack. I wonder if they're gonna do a bunch of covers like they usually do, where you got the legends. Like, who's gonna be on the legend cover? You know, it'd be really
Yeah, I
dope?
think they usually do that now, where they have a regular edition and then they have the Legends edition, like you said.
You know what would be dope if you put like a father and son combo, or like one of the, like, you know what I would do? I'll put CC on one cover because he just made the Hall of Fame. CC Ichiro, put them on the Legends covers since they just made the Hall of Fame. Something like that.
I could see, especially with like the everything that's happening between baseball and the Japanese market, I could see Ichiro being on the Legends edition cover alone. Like I could see something like that. That would be big, especially overseas, man. Forget about it.
Shrek with the banger though. I like that.
That would be interesting, but I wonder if and I'm not trying to play devil's advocate. This could actually be a fact, right? I don't know this to be, but I wonder if they may have already made the decision before Ricky Henderson passed.
You might have,
because at that point makes it difficult. Now, could it be something that happens in the future?
Could be,
possibly, but I could also be wrong though. So we'll see.
So that's an interesting one, because here's what I'm going to tell you, right? Like, I'm not usually one to study video game covers, but to see a guy, I can see Ichiro on one cover, Otani on one cover. Like, Otani's on the main cover of the game, Ichiro's on the legend cover, and then you put like a Yamamoto on like the because they always have like three covers, so it would be
Right.
dope if all three of them like the Holy Trinity
It'll
Japan.
it'll it'll be like having LeBron and Michael Jordan on the same cover of a game,
Yeah,
honestly.
2K did that a couple years ago where they put like three athletes on the same card.
Yeah, they always do that,
I
right?
think
Or
they did like
sometimes they just come out with different covers and you could choose like which one you want to buy.
yeah. Also, I'm gonna David Wells. That's funny.
Nah, I don't see that happening.
That's funny. Um, I would also the you know what idea is really cool to me is if you put if we're really gonna talk about like bringing the extra expos back at some point, put a couple old expos on one of these covers like Pedro, a Larry Walker type shit where you put like all the old expos on one cover and just have them like re-ingratiate themselves to baseball. Because I'm sorry, the fact that there's no team in Montreal, Rob Banford, what are you doing, my boy? Like you out here killing the game. Literally, you killing the game. Um, I don't understand why this is not a thing. I don't understand why there's not a team in Montreal. Please explain. Please explain. I'm lost, but we want to fucking put a team in Tampa. Okay.
I like what Norm said here. He says it could be Otani. Are you saying and Judge or Judge on the cover? Because if I had to choose, I'd like to see both.
Wait, wasn't Judge on the cover just not too long ago? He
I
just was.
he was on it at one point,
Yeah,
but because of the fact that they both are coming off of having, historic seasons, it
this
would
is
be interesting to do like split down the middle, half Otani, half LA Dodgers,
this
half
is funny.
Yankees, half Judge.
This is funny. This is a funny one. That's funny. That's funny. Yo, Shrek with the mean troll job, bro. Um, I think baseball. See all this shit about who we gonna put on the cover. How about we do that for the actual players in the game? How about we put these guys on national television? You got a package with all these with Fox and all um these networks. Forget about streaming. Put Otani and Judge on Fox. Put all three games against the Yankees Dodgers on national television and allow them to be in a game where it's they're on national television every all weekend. Like you see what the NBA just did with Rivals Week. Why can't we do that in baseball? Where you get the Yankees and the Red Sox all three games on national TV. I'm sorry, but the networks, we don't give a fuck about your networks. Yes and Nesson, y'all can sit somewhere. For this, y'all can sit somewhere for these three games. Come on, man. Put these players on the forefront. It can't just be this is funny.
Put Rooker with the Sacramento A's jersey on the cover. Wow.
And honestly, if I'm an A's fan, that shit is a slap in the face. So you're literally going to take the covers, you're going to take the jersey, you're going to take the threads, you're going to take the exact same thing, and you're going to slap Oakland, you're going to slap Sacramento across that bitch. You ain't even going to change jersey colors and nothing. So
Yeah,
basically,
I'm not really rocking with that,
so
honestly.
basically, we still the A's, but you don't care that we still the A's. That shit is wild to me. Shrek with another funny one. Yo, you out here being
David
disrespectful.
Schneider.
Chuck Knobloch. That's funny. That's funny. You know, this is always an interesting subplot, but yo, we got to get to something real quick. I know we've been rambling, but do you guys think
Last
that
topic.
that we will ever see a 250 game winner in the big leagues again as far as pitches are concerned? Now, Norm left a comment early, and I got to get to Norm's comment.
Yeah, shout out to you, Norm. I know we've mentioned your name a couple times here tonight because you're still here watching us. So shout out to you.
If there,
But you did leave this at the top of the show.
so I want you to read this, Ivan, and then we could jump off the conversation from this.
Yeah. So Norm's answer is if there is another 250 win plus pitcher, it comes with an asterisk because the bullpens will likely have accounted for those victories as much as the starter who typically only goes 5 in today's game.
That's interesting.
You see, well, I get what you're saying, Norm, but I mean, wouldn't we just have to adjust with the times, right?
So then
Like,
we need
if a guy is going to, because let's be honest, I'll tell you one thing, right? If we do ever see one, and boy, do I think it's going to take a very long time, until we see that happen again. But it's gonna be with less innings, that's for sure.
See, that's why.
Back then, like, look at a guy like CC. Once
Mhm,
upon a time, complete games, like, that's just what you did every fifth day.
mhm,
You went out there and you didn't throw less than 7 innings.
right. You
Now
pitched.
we live in a time where you're lucky if you're even able to go beyond the fifth.
You pitched, right? And like, so the conversation to me would then become, yo, we need to reevaluate how we assess pitches in the modern game. Like, I'm gonna be honest, we're never gonna see 250 wins again in the big leagues. We're not. I think we don't get to 200 wins anymore. I think we stop.
Nah, I think we get to 200. 200 is possible.
Bro, you see the way that they're
Because
pulling these.
really think about it, right? So let's say somebody plays for 20 years, right?
Okay.
And if you really break that down, you really only need to average about 10 wins per season if you play for 20 years. But within those 20 years, what's going to happen? You're going to have years where, as a starter, you might win 15, you might win 17. Now, 20 plus game winners, who knows if even that'll be a thing still, right? Moving forward.
Here's the
But
reason.
I could certainly see somebody getting to 200.
Here's
Yeah.
the reason why I disagree with you. The last one that gets to 200 or at least even sniffs it is Garrett Cole, because Garrett Cole is at 153 wins right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can make the argument that the days of the starting pitcher being the ace workhorse starting pitcher are dead. So if that is indeed the case, if we're strictly going to go five and flat, how many times have we seen a manager pull a pitcher that is 1 out away from the win because he got 100 pitches and he doesn't want to push him too much further, and there's constraint to how many innings he can throw based on his injury history or whatever the case may be,
All the
right?
time, all the time.
So if that's really a conversation that we must have amongst ourselves, then here's the reality. The reality is it's never happening again, because managers and teams themselves, they even tell you, we don't value the win for starting pitchers anymore. We rather have the team win than the starting pitcher himself accumulate wins. That's why when you sit there and you talk about what CC Sabathia has done with the 251 career wins, Justin Verlander being at 262, Clayton Kershaw, I believe, is at 216. So when you start talking about all these different names getting to this certain threshold in terms of how many wins these pitchers accumulate, the game of baseball itself is not going to be kind to the next generation of pitchers who they're telling, yo, give me all you got for 5 innings and we'll go get you. Like, there is no getting into the sixth, the seventh, the eighth anymore, because the game is not structured that way.
Yeah,
So
and I'm glad we're on this topic, especially when you look back at, the past week and the Hall of Fame being a big deal at the time. Because now this affects how you view how a player is a Hall, or whether a player is
that's
a Hall of
true.
Famer or not in the future.
Mhm.
Because can you really compare them to guys who were in there?
That's see
It's a
that
completely different game. Guys
that
are used differently now.
see, but this is the conversation that we got to have. Like, how do we quantify what's important to these teams now? Is it your individual accolades, or is the team trying to get the most wins? Like, is it when we all sit there and like we always talk about, like, yo, the Justin Verlander days, of Justin Verlander saving something in the tank for the later innings because he wants to be the best pitcher he can be? That's no longer going to happen, bro.
Man, I remember those days, dude. I remember watching JV on the Tigers, man, and he's just in there giving you a little nice softball, 12 to
Mhm.
6, all that.
Yep.
And then seventh, eighth, triple digits damn near. Like, guys
He
don't even do that no more.
he
Now
perfected.
they're coming at you with triple digits from the very first pitch of the game.
So, but this is my question, right? Like a guy like Jacob DeGrom, before Jacob DeGrom got hurt, you could make the argument that Jacob DeGrom was the next guy that could have gotten to 200 plus wins, that could have gotten to 3,000 Ks, because the stuff was so prolific that if he was on the mound and he was healthy, he's probably gonna get you into the seventh or eighth inning,
Right.
right? Like the day, like Justin Verlander and those days of him saving something for the later innings, that's an outlier in the game now. I remember he used to come out first inning, maybe 93 and 94. He'll hit you with a 95 occasionally. You look up in the sixth inning, this guy's at 98, 100. And you're like, yo, bro, where'd that come from, bro? Like, hold up. Like, come on. Like, wait a minute. Like, stop. And also, too, Norm makes a great point here. This is a great point by Norm. Shout out to you. You making the points, boy. You also have to evaluate steals as well, given bigger bags and limited pickoff attempts. That's the other thing. Like, I feel like in certain spots in games now, bro, you can see the manager starting to squirm. It's like the fifth inning. There's runners on first and second. Yo, can I really trust this guy to get out of this jam so he can get the win when I got three relievers going behind him and the whole game is about to change with one swing, right?
The one thing that I've noticed for some time now, it's been a few years, I would say. I feel like a lot of teams are I would say maneuvering in a way where they operate in the same exact way. And
Yeah.
what I mean by that is a lot of teams don't want their starter having to face a lineup for a third time. The
Yeah.
first time, no problem. Second time, okay. Third time is where a lot of managers start thinking like,
Yeah.
should we go to the pen now in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning? Because he's about to see these same guys for
And
a third time. And
mm,
according to the numbers and how a lot of teams like to really base their style of play off of analytics nowadays,
mhm.
it seems to make a lot of sense. Now you have certain guys who are the exception, like a Paul Skeens, like a Garrett Cole, a Corbin Burns, guys like that who
See, but
they could pitch against a lineup 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and everything will be okay.
I also think the Pirates are going to scale back on Paul Skeens' innings because they realize, yo, he's a valuable commodity. We cannot let this dude blow out his arm pitching in a meaningless game in September when we're 15 games out.
Right. But you see, I wanna say something, Stefan. And I don't know if anybody who's watching right now remembers this. And shout out to everybody who is indeed watching
To
live
the
via
10
YouTube.
people in here, what's up, man? Hit that like, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button, leave a comment, talk to us, man. Let us know what you think.
I remember I forgot at what point last year you said this, but there was a time we were on the topic of pitching, and especially with pitching now.
Right.
One thing that you've always said is that you just want guys to go.
Pitch. Yes.
So
Pitch.
I just want to make it clear that you're still on that same
No,
type of
I'm
time,
still
right?
on the same type of time,
Okay.
but I'm also being realistic to what these front offices and teams are positioning these pitchers to do, or help teaching them to do, or showing them rather. Yo,
Yeah.
throw this amount of innings because we have you built up to this. Like I think, and this is pretty much proven. You ever heard the term? There's this new term. It's called lanes. Yo, this is the lane we thought was best for him. So we went and got him in this inning because we had this guy ready to face this hitter in case this happened. Like, all this is already pre-planned before the game. Yeah, you're going to the fifth. If you get in trouble, I'm gonna have this one up behind you because at that point you should be at this, and this part of the game. Right?
Speaking of pre-planned, you know what I hate? And I wouldn't be surprised if some of you feel this way. Let us know in the comment section. But you know
For
what I
sure,
hate?
man.
I
Yeah.
hate when players now in baseball specifically are
Mm-hmm.
taking out cards from their back pocket. They're taking off their hats.
Yeah,
They're
bro.
looking inside. Like, yo, stop that, bro. Stop that. I hate it.
Yo,
I hate it, man.
it's see, this is the thing.
Like,
This
what
is
happened to just memorizing like a hitter's tendencies? Like, yo, his tendency is right here. Let's align ourselves in a way where we're
right.
gonna be able to get him out according to that hitter's tendency. But that used to come off the dome, bro.
A lot, but a
That
lot
used
of
to come from obviously watching tape, of course, but
right.
just knowing how these players play
I
and
also
what they prefer to do. Not just, all right, well, let me take 5 steps this way and then 3
right.
steps back. And according to the numbers, he's going to hit a line drive my way.
You're not wrong, but let me tell you where this is a legit problem, though. When we go to a game before a game, do we even see the outfield or the infield coaches out there with the outfielders? Yo, play this ball off the wall this way. If this one's hitting, yo, move this way a couple steps. No, they don't even practice relay throws and none of that shit. So there's no way. That's a way of them having a cheat code in their back pocket, because Lord knows these players are thinking about getting their A swing off in the middle of the game. They're working about getting through their BP hacks. Nobody's really concerned with how does this affect me, right? To the 14 people in here, what's up? How does this affect me, right? Like, what is that? How does this help me or lack thereof, right? So they think, oh, these players ain't gonna remember this shit. By the time we go over this again in the middle of the game, this guy's probably gonna be 0 for 3. He ain't gonna give a fuck about nothing I just told him because he's so focused on, yo, I'm 0 for 3 with 2 Ks and a pop up to the shortstop. Well, I'm screwed now, right? Like, and a lot of it is coaching has been so dumbed down where I think the coach's job to put these guys in position is no longer applicable to the modern player. Right. Coaches are glorified like babysitters. Yo, stroke their ego. Tell him he's great. Tell him he's this. Tell him he's that. Right. Where coaches back in the days, they would sit down and they would say, yo, play this ball if they carry him this day. So if something were to happen, we at least have an idea of what you're going to do in the middle of a game. Coaching has also changed. So what it does is to put less stress on the coaches. It allows them to say, yo, you know what we're going to do? We're going to just put a card in your back pocket, and we're going to allow you to be able to make judgments based on that card. Also, because I don't think these modern baseball players have a feel for the game. Like you just said, swing tendencies and all that type of stuff.
Right.
That's lost in translation now. We don't even know. I bet you they don't even know what that means, right? Like if you ask a modern player, yo, what's this player's swing tendencies? Wait, what did you ask me?
I don't know. I gotta wait until I'm giving my index card.
Right. And notice they switch them bitches out if the lineup changes or if somebody's been on the bench, they get new cards because this player likes to hit this way. And the instinctual part of the game is slowly eroding, where it's like, yo, whatever happened to just being an athlete and just thinking on your feet? If something would have
I thought this was a part of the job. I thought it came with the territory.
But what also comes with the territory is I'm too rich for
technology too.
Yeah, I'm too rich for this. I'm not trying to learn all this shit. Give me an index card. I'm paid already. I ain't trying to none of this shit. And it also, the front office is and everybody's fault because you got Jared from IT telling him, yo, play this way because the laptop says if you go this way, he might hit the ball this way.
Yeah.
You have never played on a field in your life. You know nothing about this, but you're going to look at a screen and tell me where this goes.
Yeah.
We got comments in here.
That's funny, bro. Yes. I would say, I say yes and no, right? I say the pitch clock because certain pitchers have vocalized the fact that they've been against it. It messes with their routine and how they prefer to work when they're on the mound. But no, because we certainly know that the speed that some of these guys are throwing at nowadays, it seems to be more of a problem than the pitch clock.
Yeah, that's the other thing is like, yo, when you're throwing, I can see Paul Skeens finishing as well at Pittsburgh, especially with his most recent comments.
I could see that. So I could see two things, and I'm sure, Stefan, you probably may see this as well.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Pittsburgh at some point offering him something early to try to see if he'll give in. And then at that point, you would rather just, if you're Paul Skeens, you decide whether you want to take that. If not, then just become a free agent. But I don't know. Paul Skeens seems to be a pretty smart guy, so he might not want to stay there.
So here, listen, you go offer. Listen, I'll tell you what the Pirates offer is going to be somewhere in the range.
No, but let's not act like we haven't seen certain players end up in situations like that. Jose Ramirez, Ronald Acuna Jr., Ozzie Albies. Like we've seen players who we know that they are worth way more.
Hold on, not to make this a thing, but we're going to make this a thing. Look at the players you just named.
Damn, but Jose Ramirez. All right. Okay. Jose Ramirez.
You're coming from impoverished situations. You are coming from an area where you might not ever see that money again in your life. This dude was the number one pitcher in the country at LSU, where LSU games are like a rite of passage on a Friday night. He went to he was in the Army, for crying out loud.
Right.
This dude is one of the smart. He went to school for I think biomechanics or some shit. He's not dumb. There's no way on earth Paul Skeens is accepting anything other than a 10-year deal and a $400 to $450 million range when his time comes.
You might as well just hire Scott Boras right now.
There is no way, because I'm going to tell you right now, by the time Paul Skeens hits free agency, how old is Paul Skeens right now? 21?
It's a young dude, man. Let's see.
How old is he? 21?
Paul Skeens is going to be 23 in May.
He's gonna be 23. So he broke in last year at the age of 22. He's gonna hit free agency by the time he's what, 27, 28? Shit. You looking at easily anywhere between 7 to 10 years, anywhere between 380 to 400. Bookmark that shit. Bookmark it right now. He is an alien compared to you guys. He ain't normal.
I think 400 plus. I could certainly see that.
All fielders have a pitch comp. Yeah, you're right. That's the other thing. Oh, this pitcher's throwing a slider. This pitcher, nigga, what happened to reading the ball over the plate?
Yes.
We not doing that either.
Right. Or just as teammates, right? Like, let's say you have an at bat, Stefan. You know, it didn't go so well for you. So you come into the dugout now and you like, yo, Ivan, look out for such and such. He threw this.
Or
went back to this. Like, or guys even doing that anymore?
That's the thing, too. What if you're on the bench, right? And you see something in his delivery that says, yo, when he does this with his glove, he's gonna throw this in this game. If you see these dudes, they're on the bench playing with the hat, having seed games, putting bubble gum on each other's hats, being real stupid.
Seed game.
Yo, it's true. How many times you see them? They throwing seeds at each other, hitting each other in the head,
bringing out championship belts and all types of stuff.
They're playing all these like dumbass little kid games, and like, yo, nobody's sitting there watching this game.
Right.
He just mowed down our lineup for like 6 straight innings. Nobody's gonna tell me what the hell he's throwing. Like, help me, yo. You know what I'm saying? Because we've it's almost like a person with a phone, right? Let's make this modern argument or comparison rather. Remember the days where you actually had to memorize numbers because if you didn't, you was asked out.
Right.
Now you just look at the person's number. You're like, I don't gotta remember this shit. His number's already in my phone. All I gotta do is tap Ivan and it calls you.
I can admit I'm somebody who does not remember phone numbers how I once did. I can't do it. I'm accustomed to the phones, like you said, and
I'm so
just adding a contact and making sure that I have it there.
It's worse for even me because I don't even go to the dial pad anymore. Siri, call up such and such.
Right.
We don't even hit the dial pad no more. You heard? Schemes you need to build up.
Yes.
Yep.
That's a great point. We have to see whether Paul Skeens is a guy who will be able to bounce back from Tommy John surgery,
right?
When his time does come. Yeah, that's a good
you know
point,
what? If you're him, guess what? I don't mean to sound messed up to Pirates fans. Pirate fans, if you in here, I'm sorry. I'd rather have my Tommy John with the Pirates because that's before the big bag is about to come. So if I'm gonna blow it out, let me blow it out in the next 2-3 years. We're gonna lose anywhere between 70 to 90 games a season. Nobody's gonna give a fuck, right? So if I'm gonna blow it out, let me do it right now. Because here's the thing. I also think this too, man. What happened to playing through some soreness and playing through some level of discomfort and playing through a little bit of pain? Like, whatever happened to that? Now,
well, I think certain guys, especially one guy that comes to mind, and I don't want to make it seem like he's the only exception, but a guy like Francisco Lindor, right? And how 2024 ended for him in terms of the regular season. Like, he was a dude who I'm sure everything that he did during that postseason run that the Mets went on, I don't think he was 100%. Now, I'm sure he was telling us, like, oh, I feel good. The back is fine. No need to worry. But I know before and after every single playoff game,
he was feeling it.
That medical staff was working on him and him only.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you this right now, right? You know who was like that too? Freddie
Freeman. Yes.
You know the Dodgers was on some fucking Mr. Miyagi shit. Wax on, wax off, just trying to get him to play.
I wouldn't even be surprised if in that case, considering how far they got
Right.
in the postseason,
Yep.
ultimately winning the World Series, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But it wouldn't surprise me if for him they were doing it in between innings.
Shit, just
I
trying to
can
get him
see
to,
that.
yeah, just trying to get him to be on the field.
Every time you get off the field, run down into the clubhouse, yo, and he's swelling, making sure you good, how you feeling, you know?
Not even on some swelling shit. Yo, let me just get some stimulation in the ankle. Yo, take off your cleat. Let me put the stimulation package on your ankle real quick. You not playing first base. You don't gotta run. You just nigga, you hitting so many home runs. You could basically damn near jog out this bitch. Yo. Can we stop hearing about Alex Bregman soon?
Sox fan for life. What up, bro? Thanks for stopping by.
What's going on, brother? I think so. I think Alex Bregman. We have a Alex Bregman resolution as early as this week. But it's Scott Boras, so I say that, but I also say it with a little bit of a grain of salt because we think that, and then you turn around and he's a free agent and spring training stuff. Yo, you know spring training starts in the Super Bowl is the 9th of February.
60 days. I saw a post earlier today.
No, the regular season starts in 60 days.
Oh, okay.
Spring
Sorry.
training starts in 2.5 weeks from Tuesday.
2.5 weeks. Okay.
So think about that. Yo, these guys aren't signed, and the spring training is
two and a half weeks away from spring training.
Yeah.
And let's keep this in mind, everyone. 60 days away from opening day.
He gets his back. Nah.
But what's the mega bag though? Because I don't think the Pirates could even give him that.
Bob Nutting as an owner is worth just over $1 billion. There's no way he's giving almost half his net worth to one dude.
Right.
Nah. Ain't happening.
That's why I said what I said a few minutes ago, Norm, where I said two things are gonna happen. The Pirates, and this is just what teams do, right? Like, yo, they get a guy who is as good as the Paul Skeens or something close to that. They try to see if they could sit down and see if they could end up keeping them there for life. It doesn't end up making sense for the player, and they leave.
And here's the thing. You think Paul Skeens is going to go to a place where you think Paul Skeens is going to want to stay in a place where he knows he's don't got a chance to win a championship? Especially when you're going to have the three biggest markets in the sport all bidding for this dude's services. You know the Dodgers are going to be in the mix. You know the Yankees and Mets are going to be in the mix. You already know the Padres are going to find their way in there somehow if AJ Preller's still around doing what he does.
Yeah.
So why would I stay in bumfuck Pittsburgh when I got the Mets, the Yankees? You crazy? Nah. Hopefully back to Houston for that much money.
Yeah, we both think he's gonna return. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Super Bowl isn't even watchable. Damn.
Oh man.
The Super Bowl excited, but Super Bowl is dope, but I'm more excited for spring training. We are right there with you. We are right there.
Yo, shout out to Shrek for saying that, bro.
We are right there with you.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
We are right there with you. You out here dropping bombs, bro. That off. So real quick, guys, we ain't gonna be on here for too much longer. We wanted to keep it short tonight, short and sweet. We started a little later than usual because of the football games, because we didn't want to compete with said football games. But what I will say is we'll be back at some point middle of the week. I'm thinking what, maybe Wednesday, Ivan?
Yeah.
Wednesday we'll be back. If something else breaks before that, then we'd love to see what you guys think. But I'm gonna leave this in here right now. If you guys are open for a Q&A session where we do an ask and answer episode, or whatever you guys want to talk about, don't have to be one particular topic. Do me a favor, put a Q&A in the chat right now. And however many of you are putting a Q&A in the chat, that's what we're going to run with. If you want a Q&A episode, we'll do that. If you want an actual episode where we talk about a specific topic or a specific whatever you're thinking about, we can do that too. But the reason why we wanted to do this Q&A thing is because it seems like when we get in the chat, sometimes the conversation can be, it can go a multitude of ways. So we want to give you guys the power to, talk about what you guys want to talk about. But I do have to get this comment up. Kendrick's halftime show is going to be epic. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna watch just because, not because I'm a Kendrick fan.
No, listen, you a Drake fan.
Watching for the sake of
you a Drake fan. You gotta go. You gotta watch him perform in Dubai or wherever he's gonna be. Like you need to leave the. You need like your Drake fandom. Your hater.
Oh, so what's wrong? What's wrong with still bumping Hotline Bling and Tootsie Slide now?
Norm with the interesting question: if you are Pirates executives and you know Skeens is likely gone when he becomes a free agent, do you ride him hard and pitch him into the ground? No.
Well, you can't, especially if you're not going to be in competition.
And you know what happens if you do that? The next free agent that comes or the next draft pick that comes along that you signs with you is like, nah, these niggas got a history of running me into the ground. I'm not doing that. No way. No way. No way. No way. Because you have to be accountable for the pitchers that are coming up in your system. If pitchers in your system realize, nah, these dudes is running me into the ground, they're not really trying to be they can't really be trusted with my care and how I'm supposed to be going about my business to become a major leaguer. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of tough.
Wait, hold on. So, Sox fan for life, he says Skeens already verbally agreed to go to Dodgers.
You're being a troll. You're being a troll. Stop that right now. Stop.
I haven't. I don't want to act like I know everything about Paul Skeens, right? Because I don't. But was there an interview? No. Was he asked a question?
No. And if he does, you know he can be fined handsomely for that. He can be fined for that. That is basically, you're basically tampering to go to another team when you're under contract. Question: how many players would have died? Right now, I got it at an even 4. If I had to guess, I think the Dodgers get rid of 4 guys. I think who's the outfielder that was what was his name? James Outman is one guy that goes. I think depending on how they view Pages, I think Pages might be, will go. You're being a troll. That's funny. I also think, what do you guys think about a Dustin May potentially being traded? Maybe a Tony Gonsolin. Where are the Dodgers fans with the idea that those guys could be moved to create roster flexibility to get Yamamoto on the roster, to get like Tanner Scott was announced. Like, they've announced these signings, but they have to do some clerical work before they can all be put on the 40-man. So the question then becomes, like, what are we doing to augment some of this roster crunch or alleviate some of this roster crunch?
I just hope that the Dodgers are done, because I don't want to be here like midway through the regular season. It's trade deadline time, and then we're here for yet another 27 Outs live with you guys, and we have to break the news that the Dodgers somehow, some way acquired a guy who we just didn't even think was going to end up wearing their uniform.
I'm going to tell you who the guy is at the deadline.
If that happens, bro,
at the deadline, I can tell you who they're going to acquire right now. I don't even got to think about it. Luis Robert will be wearing a Dodger uniform by the time we get to friggin'.
Well, I'm all right with that. I could dig that.
You know what I mean? But then again, they might turn around and, we need a shortstop, so let's go out of here and get a Correa or some shit like that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying.
They got the flexibility to do it, so I can't be mad at them if you know what I mean? If that's what you choose to do, then go do that.
Wow, Sox fan for life. You see what he says? He says Vlad to LA at the deadline.
The Dodgers will be fools to put anything of a package together to trade for a guy that you don't even know if you're going to keep him or not. If one
let me ask you this question though, Stefan, because I agree with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But baseball, the one thing and the reason why we love it as much as we do is because baseball is a very, very, very strange game.
It is.
You've got teams with the best players who fall just short to a mediocre team that just so happens to be red hot at the time, and it works in their favor, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But do you think that could you see rather a big, and I'm also asking all of you guys as well, could you see a big market team being able to pony up the years and the amount of money that Vladdy is looking for next offseason, make a deal for him at the deadline to acquire him sooner? Could you see that?
So the only two teams
I know it doesn't make sense, because if you already have the money, you might as well just play the season out and have a conversation with the guy in the winter.
The only two teams I can see doing this, and this is a very, 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 like even that's going to take a lot, is the Dodgers and the Mets because they
Dodgers and the Mets. Okay.
those are the only two teams where I can see where the money's already been agreed to, the trade is agreed to. Cohen pulls out a check, says 500 plus million. You are a New York Met. If the Dodgers come around and say, "Yo, here's a check for 500 plus million," we just gave up at prospect B and prospect A, whatever you want, we give it up. But if you're Vladimir Guerrero Jr., why do that? Why limit your market to just two teams when you could get the Yankees interested in you, you could get the Padres interested in you, you could get the Red Sox interested in you, you could get the Mets interested in you, you could get the Dodgers interested in you, right? Like this could be a smorgasbord, a smorgasbord, a smorgasbord. And here's what I'm gonna tell you. I think the fact that Juan Soto already laid the blueprint. Like most Dominican players, they want to come closer to the Northeast. They don't want to be in California because it's further away from home. Like if you in New York, DR, a plane ride to DR is how long? Maybe what, 3.5 hours, Ivan?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They not trying to go all the way from LA to DR. You heard? Like, that ain't happening. So I would be of the opinion that he foregoes all the extension talks, foregoes it all, and says, "Yo, you know what? I'll see everybody when the season ends, and we can discuss what I'm gonna do then, and we'll be able to sit down at that point because at that point, then I'll have more of options in terms of who can at least get close. And what happens is, guess what? It's a free enterprising market. So you could play both sides against the middle. Yo, this team just offered me this. Can you offer me this? This team just said they'll give me that if I do this and that. Yo, can I get you to spin the block and hit me with this offer? Like when you talk about trades, number one, you got to trade the capital. You got to get him to forego his free agency period, which at 26, I don't see him doing because that's the prime years to get paid.
Yeah.
Right? And you also want to be courted. You want to have options. You want to go see everybody's ballpark, their system, how they're going to be able to help you as a player. Like it's free agency is big for these players for a reason.
It's an
Now,
experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Does everybody value it the same way? I don't know. I can't get in Vladdy's head, but if I were him, the Blue Jays already offered me over $400 million, and I said, hell no. Nah.
And listen, I know, not everything needs to be put in the same sentence with one another, but his father could also be, telling him a thing.
Right. So it's like
no conversations, don't accept no deals. Just say no until the very last day of the 2025 season.
Right. So why would I accept anything that puts me in a position where I can't make the most money possible, where I can't stretch the market to its possible limits, where I can't have these dudes all drooling the other day? You don't think these teams are in their heads going, yo, you imagine what Vladdy would look like in the middle of the lineup between Judge and Bellinger, and the Yankees are drooling, the Mets are drooling, Soto, Lindor, Vladimir Guerrero. These niggas, they're having drool fest in the cut right now.
So let's show this because it's funny you say that, Stefan, because Norm says that it'll come down between both the Mets and the Yankees in terms of who's going to be able to acquire Vladdy Jr. And then he goes on and says that he thinks the Mets will get both Guerrero and Tucker. By the way, if that does happen, we're talking about over $1 billion. Like
something like that.
And over $1 billion.
Here's the thing, right?
And I think Kyle Tucker ends up receiving more than Vladdy Jr.
Yeah, I got Kyle Tucker in the $500 million range. I do. Left-handed, great fielder, young, 28 years old. You're gonna get anywhere between 450 and 500.
Both would be crazy, but then here's the thing, though, Norm. Right? If you're the Mets, okay, two amazing bats, right? Magnificent way to really just end off 2023 and then, rather 2024 and possibly 2025 next year with these guys being free agents.
Yep.
But again, where's the pitching? Right? Like that's been something that we talked about in previous shows here when it comes to the Mets and how they've operated even this offseason after getting Juan Soto.
Well, Stearns has already publicly stated he doesn't want to do multi-year deals with pitching. He doesn't want to do long-term deals with pitching. So his methodology to acquire pitching is just, yo, what if we just do this the old-fashioned way? Do it with Scotch tape. Try to get the bullpen to be a little bit stronger. Try to get as many innings out of the pitching department as we can, because our offense is just going to rake. Here's the problem: by the time you get to the postseason, those pitches are gassed. They're dead. They have nothing left, right? So Norm also makes this point. Norm makes a point of, but again, the 2026 offseason may go side. Yeah, but you know what? Vlad ain't worried about 2026 because he's a free agent in 2025. That
Right.
2026 deadline or whenever that's going to come to fruition is going to come to fruition based on the idea that the owners and the players can't come to some sort of an agreement. That is not on Vlad. That's not Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s problem. His main objective is, yo, I'm trying to get paid the most money I can when it's my turn to get paid.
He's
So
in a good spot. And also, too, because that's a possibility, Norm and Stefan, what if a team actually ends up offering, who knows, Vladdy Jr. like 500
that's
something, just
that's
to be able to say, like, we got him, you know?
right. And also, like, I wouldn't put it past a team like the Texas Rangers to say, yo, we're in Texas. We got revenue. Why don't we just offer it? I don't know if he takes it, but we're going to offer it. I'm not putting it past the Padres to do something desperate with Otani and all these guys going to LA. Yo, we might have to do something that's out of the ordinary crazy. I'm not going to put it past uh, Cohen and Stearns to be able to be like, yo, let's get Juan Soto's man in here. Let's make this all the DR situation. I wouldn't put it back. And then again, I wouldn't put it past the Yankees with Vlad. Oh, I'd never play for the Yankees. But if that Yankee bag is right, you would think about playing for the Yankees. Oh, by the way, you're sitting in the same lineup as Aaron Judge. So he got options, essentially, is what I'm saying. That is what you want if you're a free agent. There's no way on this planet we call Earth he's taking an extension with any team under any circumstances, no matter who trades for him. I don't see it at all.
2025 may be
Maybe
it
it
for a
for a
bit.
bit. I agree with you. Listen, I can see the situation where this season is like 120 games, and we start this bitch on like Flag Day and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
2026?
2026, where we play 120 games, we don't even get to the full 162,
Right.
and that shit is a rat race to the finish. I could see that. I can see it.
So
Now,
if you miss out on 40 games, we're looking at about a month and a half worth of baseball.
so think about it. That's a month and a half worth of baseball. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna prorate the salaries backdated, or or they would prorate the salaries based on when you start playing to what you have left of the season. The reason why the players will always cave first because the players have more to lose. They will always cave first because they have checks to lose. So no matter how much they're gonna rah, they always are gonna cave first. You know why? Because not all players think with the same mind. You have Latin players who want to just get their money and do what they got to do. You have American players who want to ride this out. Then we got to be more conscious of the minor league players who are now part of the union. Do we get their saying on what happens here in these negotiations? So yeah, it may be it for a bit, but here's the reality. The reality is this is going to get ugly, ugly, ugly because of what I told you earlier today. Rob Manfred was a lawyer. Rob Manfred was baseball's main lawyer when it came to negotiating the not this previous collective bargaining agreement because he was the commissioner, but the one in the 90s. He was baseball's main lawyer. Like, yo, my man. Like, you, what y'all trying to do, bro? We lock you out. We don't give a fuck. Like,
And that's probably how he's operating now, which is why maybe he doesn't care when the 2026 season begins.
he don't give a up, bro. Because if he gave a fuck, they would have been at the negotiating table going, yo, how can we come to some sort of compromise that's best for both sides?
This man said, I'll lock you out.
He don't give a up, bro.
Yeah, that's funny.
But Guerrero will be eligible. He's a free agent in 2025, not 2026. The players are gonna have to cave, bro. You know what? For all the talk about a salary cap, how about we put in a salary floor? Let's start with a salary floor. Like, I hear what you're saying with the cap. To the 12 people in here, what's up? Hit that like, hit that comment, hit the subscribe button.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram at
I hear
27
you.
ounce
I hear you
Breggie and
with
make
that
sure you
salary
subscribe.
cap talk. But yo, can we put in the floor? There has to be a certain amount of money spent before we can, like, you know what the floor would be? The floor would be 100 million. You got to spend $100 million every season, or you either have to sell the team if you're an owner, or Major League Baseball can flat out take over your team.
That's interesting.
Yes, but they're playing the 2026 season. The lockout is December 1st, 2026. So 2026 is going to be played. There's still 2 full seasons to be played after this.
Right, right.
Yo, the only thing a salary cap does is show you what teams are run better. Yeah, there really should be a salary floor. Like, we need to start there. Put in a premium on, yo, you know what? I got one for you. If you don't spend a certain amount of money on your salary floor, your international signing bull bonus money, we get to take that and put it in an escrow. It's ours now. The draft pick you thought you were going to get in this year's draft is ours now. Your first round pick now belongs to us on some real Debo Friday shit. Like, oh, you don't want to spend money? You remember Debo, right?
Yeah.
The big black dude that was in Friday that would come snatch shit if you wasn't. Oh, that's mine now. That bike, that chain, that thing you thought was yours is mine now. So it wouldn't surprise me if the league is on some Debo shit, where it's like, nah, dog, you look at what the A's had to do. The A's had to hit a certain number, right? Where you would have defaulted on the revenue sharing payments you would have received from the rest of baseball. Now, here's the thing I will tell you. You know who wants a salary cap? The Baltimore Orioles owner wants a cap. Stu Sternberg's in Tampa wants a cap. You're gonna have, you know what I mean?
That's a good point there by shout out to Super Banana. Funny name, by the way.
Shout out to you, bro.
How about we get new owners for these cheap ass franchises?
You know why? Because it's a good old boys network. A bunch of old, well together, mostly Caucasian guys who have been owning teams for years. Who, if you disrupt the Apple Card, they look at you crazy. No, they don't. They're probably the one team that don't want it.
I'm sure they do. Sox fan for life.
Cohen don't care whether there's a cap or not. He don't care. You know who might want a cap is Hal. Cal Steinbrenner might want a cap. You know what I'm saying? There's some owners that want this cap, right? Like, because the one thing I will say is, yes, these guys are all billionaires, but not all billionaires are created equal. You know, the saying is like, not all love and not all things are created equal. You might be a billionaire in terms of your value.
There's levels to it, right?
But your net worth doesn't indicate that you're a billionaire. You heard? Right. Like, the shit can look completely different based on a myriad of factors, right? So not everybody's equally gonna be looked the same. Gonna be looked at the same. So
yeah, and I kind of feel like that's exactly where House stands nowadays compared to all of these other owners who are now owning some of these teams.
Right? Yeah.
Like the Yankees are no longer viewed as those guys, right? Like there's a few of those guys who, in fact, are willing to pay more than you would ever would.
No, but the thing is, he works together with Brian Cashman, who I believe Brian Cashman no longer wants to be viewed as the big bag Yankees who spend gajillions of dollars, because it makes us look like we can't put a team together and all we do is buy this shit. So a lot of this is coming from, listen, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Hal owns it, but Cash runs it. Hear what I just said. Hal owns it, but Cash runs it. So you could put the dollars wherever you want to. Your money's always good. The check is going to clear. But we going after who I say we going after, because he runs the whole organization. Yeah, he says, oh, I talk to Hal. We have conversations. He's always in my ear. He's supportive. He's this, he's that. But if Brian came to him and said, "Yo, don't spend money on player X, player Y, and player Z because they don't fit what we do." I've heard it done. I've heard it done. I've heard them talk about this as a real thing, right? So Cash has a last say. So, and that's a Red Sox fan saying this, all right? So if he knows that, then you know the rest of baseball knows it. And speaking of the last say, do you have a last say before we get on out of here?
No, no, man. Shout out to those of you who have watched this show until the very end tonight. We appreciate it. Tonight was fun. I'm glad we got into our topics as always, but not just that. A lot of different things came up in the chat tonight, which made tonight's show feel just like every other show in a way, right? So we'll see you guys in a few days. Finish it off, Stefan, if you'd like.
Current start as, but the off-season signing that will occur may not be may be completed if you sign someone to a mega deal, which ends up being a mistake under the new CBA. With it, that's something you got to work through. So I see, but I wonder if they're gonna do this, right? You see how they do it in football, right?
Sorry, bro. Just so hard.
That's
Yo, Super Banana, what the hell are you talking about with the blunt in the air?
you a wild boy, bro. We know
boy.
who you know who's making the bong out of fucking Sprite bottles and like all types of industrial shit. We know who's getting lit in this chat. Oh man, goddamn. I'll close it by saying this. This was fun. I had a blast. Listen, if you want more of the CBA talk and more of this random helter skelter that we've been doing, put a Q&A in the chat, or if you see it, put Q&A at the end of this video to title it. If you want to, I'm cool with the dying emoji. We see you.
Hey, I think he should be up there when it comes to greatest catches of all time for sure.
Stefan, we put to the classic in 2026. Wait, explain
I
that.
think I think he's talking about the WBC. I think there's a WBC next year, if I'm not mistaken.
There is one, but I wonder, right? I wonder, this is the thing. I wonder with the impending lockout happening that very at the end.
Oh, I see what he's saying. He's telling you. So he says, Stefan, we out to the classic in 2026.
Oh no, I'm with that.
Okay, I didn't even think he was trying to say that.
I mean, hey, it's in Florida. I'm cool. It's in Miami. I don't know about all them Spanish countries. I might.
Miami's nice. I've gone to Miami once. I've gone to Miami on a group trip, and
No, I
I
mean,
enjoyed myself.
we
It was
might
dope.
listen. Depending on the number of subscribers we get in, we might do a Miami meetup at the WBC. But we got to get to a certain number before we do that. So tell your friend to tell a friend, bro.
Yeah, by the way, guys, I don't know if a lot of you guys have a friend such as myself or Stefan who love baseball as much as we do. But if you guys do have conversations with any of your friends who enjoy the game and they like having these types of conversations, share the channel with them. Let them know about myself. Let them know about Stefan. Let them know that the chat is very active these days. And,
Mm-hmm.
we're looking forward to taking over in 2025.
So I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. We want to get to 200 before opening day. So if we could get some of our day ones in here to help us with the foot traffic and share the show on their YouTubes and their socials and wherever you want to follow us, or even if you drop us a link to wherever we can follow you at, let us know, man. We'll follow you guys because we do want to get to a certain number before we hit opening day. So 200 is our number. Help us get there, and we about to have some swaggy shit happening in 2025 too. 27-ounce drip coming soon. You heard? Hoodies, t-shirts, all that shit. And also, we've been talking, me and Ivan, so we have an idea of doing a special like giveaway where we might give out a certain hoodie that only me and Ivan have access to. If you win this giveaway, you'll be lucky enough to wear one of the hoodies that you see us wear that's not available anywhere else but in our closet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So Holla at your boys, man. Holla at your boys. Help us get to 200 and we'll pay it back for sure. He says Q&A. Ivan, you got my flight. Nah, I mean, Ivan is going to go. Shit, right now, that's what it's looking like, bro.
I mean, hey, I've never played third base in my life, but who knows?
Yeah, man. But as I like to say, we ain't got to go home, but we got to get the hell up out of here. So
Thank you
peace.
guys. Good night.
Yup.